Hi guys, I'm Tom Black. I'll be talking about argumentation on the social web. So first things first, I'm going to talk a bit about the background of this, the problem space, and then cover some of the work that's been done in the areas of argumentation and the social web. And then I'll cover a bit about my work so far. So, have any of you ever had an argument online? On Facebook or YouTube comments? Anyone? No? Well, I have quite a lot. And it gets me feeling really, really frustrated because I always want to beat the other guy. And this is called an heuristic argument, where you're not trying to solve a problem, you just want to win. And this is usually a bad way of going about things. And in fact, in extreme cases, it leads to cyberbullying, which we all know is a bad thing. But it also leads to a negative perception of the web overall, which is unfair. The web doesn't deserve that. The web's a fantastic technology. And if we put our minds together and try and solve problems instead of trying to win, we can solve what's called wicked problems by using a dialectic argument, where the goal is fixing a problem rather than winning. So argumentation, obviously a very powerful tool. It's been studied since ancient times. That's Aristotle and Plato talking about rhetoric. And because it's very powerful, people have tried to use maths to model it. So all different sorts of maths, logic, set theory, graph theory, that kind of thing. And this obviously has some very sensible applications in court proceedings, when you want to model somebody's testimony, or an academic paper so you can follow their reasoning through it. And one of these is the Toulmin model, which was developed in 1958 by Toulmin. And he broke arguments up into these 6 structures. So your claim, over here, is the conclusion you're trying to draw, and the qualifier is how strongly you believe it. So for example, I am definitely a British citizen. Data are the arguments you use to back this claim, so I have a British passport. But the key point of Toulmin's model is the warrant, which joins the two, and it's often implicit. So in my case, the holder of a British passport would be a British citizen. And the backing simply backs up the warrant. So I could point you to legal statutes and that kind of thing. But there's also a Rogerian mode of argument, which is presenting a rebuttal that you foresee. So I could say, all of this holds unless I'm actually a spy for a foreign power. In Rogerian mode, if you present a counter-argument to your own argument, it makes you seem a more reasonable person, and people are more likely to take you seriously. But of course, this is a very formal model, and when I argue online, I don't really think like this. I often just get right stuck in. So this is the social web. I don't know if you can see a lot of these small graphics, but there are some other sizes available. Up here we've got sort of social media and Facebook and that kind of thing. Down here, discussion forums, and on either side, various multimedia like Flickr. And the social web is very powerful. It's a lot harder to model some of these kinds of things. So we've got huge numbers of participants and reputation systems, which often aren't accounted for in some of these more formal mathematical models. So things like Facebook likes and that kind of thing. So I decided I'd do a little bit of work and find out how people are arguing at the minute. So I wrote a simple computer program that scrapes some comment threads and tries to find out how people are arguing, whether they're being very positive or very negative. So if we have a look at some data from Twitter, so green shows positive comments, red shows negative comments. And here we've got some quite clear blocks of positive up here and negative down here. And this is actually from Barack Obama's Twitter feed. So obviously there's a group of people that agree with him and a group of people that disagree. However, if we contrast that with, say, the Daily Mail, something's gone horribly wrong. The Daily Mail, everything is very, very, very negative all the way throughout. So I don't know if that says something about Daily Mail readers or writers. And then 4chan, very similar, again, massively negative, but actually quite spaced out, and that's because a lot of the responses are actually just images rather than text, which is harder to analyze. So, in future, what I'm hoping to do is apply some of the current mathematical models, like Toulmin, and then we can get an idea of what they're good at and what they're bad at representing social media. And then from that, I can build on that, make a new model, and then hopefully use that to improve debate and encourage people to argue more dialectically. And hopefully that will improve behavior all round. So, in summary, there are lots of current models of argumentation because it's a very powerful thing to use, but not all of them are fit for purpose at the moment. So, building on that should hopefully improve the situation, and maybe we'll see a little bit less of this in future.